Okay, I just clicked start streaming on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and start my Instagram stream. Waiting for it to say it's receiving. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start on Instagram. My phone's camera can stay polished off. All right, let's see. Starting my Instagram stream here. Okay, we are live. All right. What's up, guys? Just a few minutes here. I'm going to be starting my live stream technique class. Hi, Natalia. I've got the streaming on YouTube and on Instagram here. So if you want to watch via YouTube, you can just, if you want to bring it up on your full screen, you can go to the link in my bio, and the link to the YouTube stream is right there. We're going to start with some right hand work. So what's up, guys? Good to see you all here. Alan, Trench, Emily, Simone. Sorry, I can't see everyone. When you're live here, or when you made it here on YouTube, let me know. It doesn't let me know like Instagram does. And you guys there on Instagram, let me know when you're ready to go. And I'm going to start with some nice right hand speed work based on feeling things as one and just reflex motion. So, hey, what's up, Trench? Good to see you, man. Okay. So if you're connected here on Instagram and you're ready to go, leave a comment, drop an emoji, something. What's up, Veronica? Hey, Mark, Alan, awesome. Thanks for letting me know. See more of you joining on YouTube here as well. So we're gonna start with some right hand stuff. Like I was just saying, if those of you that didn't hear me just say this, we're gonna work on some right hand reflex speed things. And this first exercise, you don't need to use your left hand at all. If you'd like, you can play, a random chord, something simple. Hi, Lauren. Awesome. Get your guitars out, get ready to go. What's up, Veronica? Both Veronicas here. Okay, here we go. We're going to start. Hopefully, you guys can see me well on YouTube. I don't really have the best angle right now. Also, all right. So, we're going to start with our hands set up on the top four strings. So the E, B, G, and D. And so just go ahead and set all of your fingers on these top four strings. The first thing we're going to do is just pluck the D string and then set your next finger, your pointer finger, your eye finger, on the G string immediately, like a quick action, like a trigger pulling, and immediately that hammer is your eye finger. Okay, it's like this. You see this? My eye finger setting down. And once you're feeling really good about that, go ahead and pluck that second string. What's up, Austin? Good to see you here. David. Okay, so go ahead and pluck that second one. So, and try to get that same rhythm and speed that you just were preparing your finger there. So, see, I'm going back to just preparing my first finger, my eye finger here on the third string. So go ahead and just get them preparing, and then pluck. And then after that, go ahead and prepare your M finger on the second string. So you want to set your M finger down and prepare it on the second string perfectly in time with the previous preparation. So it's going to go this D, G, and then B set down. Okay, you see this? My M finger is preparing. See, this is what it looks like if my M finger is not preparing. See, it's not setting down on the next string, getting ready to go. So now the M finger is. once you're feeling like it's preparing to be able to play at the same speed these are, you do this and pluck the D, G, and B strings. And now it gets trickier the more you add here. But now we're going to go ahead and prepare our A finger on the first string. So we're going to play all three of these in order and try to keep that perfectly consistent rhythmically. Ba-ga-da, digga-da, digga-da, digga-da. Not like none of these things. So make sure you're doing this. Okay? Then set your prepare your A finger. You see this? So my ring finger in my right hand, preparing on the first string. So make sure every single time this sounds the same. Nothing like this. Right now these are Diodario EJ46 strings. So my A finger is preparing. You see this? Confident about the speed of my right hand, the speed of my A finger preparing, I'm going to go ahead and pluck all of them and make sure it's digga-da-da, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now, most likely this is pretty easy for you. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, all the earth. John, what's up? Alright, so most likely this is pretty easy. Right? But now we're going to start heading back the opposite direction. So we're going to pluck these strings in order, and then we're going to prepare our M finger. Like we're going to come back the opposite way here. So now we're going to prepare our M finger. But right after you pluck that E string, the M finger's got to come down immediately. This is a more difficult one, so take a second and practice it. But don't play this slow. Make sure you're still just feeling this as one motion. You know, like if you were setting your fingers down on a desk and doing this kind of thing, you know? So, so go ahead and pluck through these strings, then plant your M finger. And usually, for me, if I'm warming up, it takes a second to really get that M finger planting fast when coming back the opposite direction. So take a second to get that right. Once you're feeling pretty confident about the speed at which the M finger is planting on the second string, go ahead and actually pluck it. So this is important. As we go back the opposite direction, especially keeping the rhythm and the speed of it the same. Don't do something like this. Don't do this. So, you know, you want to sound like digga-da-da-da, 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 right? No, it's not a Giuliani etude. But you know what? Giuliani etudes do this sort of thing. They study. Anyways, so we're doing this. And then our I finger is going to plant on the third string. It's kind of difficult here, right? But the key is also watching your hand and making sure that when you're relaxing, that your fingers aren't, like, they're not coming like way out here, because then you have to make a huge movement down to the strings again. So, try to make it as simple as possible for my fingers to return back to the string on this way back down. So now I'm feeling pretty good about how my I finger is planting. You should too by now. And go ahead and pluck it. So it should feel like a reflex. It shouldn't feel like you're thinking about every single note, like da 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 da, but more just like your hand rolling. Then your thumb. So we're going to plant our thumb back on this fourth string, or the D string. Okay. saying this because I'm having to pay attention myself. Okay, and you know, like if you're getting bored of this, pick a random chord. And it's also good to change up the amount of tension because, as you know, comparing the open strings and the tension that's there, comparing it to doing a bar chord up on the 7th fret, there's a little bit more tension on the string, so it's going to feel a little bit different, and your right hand's going to want to react differently. So it's good to try it in different places. Hi Gretchen, what's up? Welcome back. Hope your hand is feeling well. So we're doing this exercise on reflex. And we're just making sure that as we add in more strings on doing this exercise of, right, as we add in more strings, we're practicing preparing before we even add a string. Sorry, it's hard to summarize what we just did here, but we're starting by just doing this and then planting our end finger, just as a quick review here for everyone that's joining. I see a bunch of people joining here now. We're starting by just plucking and then planting our next finger. Then when you're feeling confident about the planting, you plant the next finger. You pluck through and then plant the next. So right now I'm planting my end finger. And the goal is to feel this like a reflex, not individual notes, but just a reflex of passing through the strings, just like anything else. Like if you were to just roll your hands on a table, this example I was giving. It's not really like you're thinking, okay, 4th, 3rd, 2nd verse, you know. Okay. So now we're going through 3 strings, trying to keep this consistent rhythm. Sorry, not consistent rhythm as going da-ga-da, 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 but every time you do try it, to have it the same distance between those notes and the same speed. Okay, then you point your A finger on the 1st string, and try to keep that same rhythm and sound. Then you pluck your A finger. And by now it should feel really solid, like especially after we worked a little bit on coming way back down. That should really feel like 1 and be perfectly even between the notes. And you'll notice, maybe you thought you were doing it pretty well before. I thought it was sounding okay. But now that I've practiced a little bit more, it's just smoothly going through the strings, and it's way more rhythmic than before. But then the next step is planting your M on the second string, your M finger back on the 2nd. So we're going to head back the opposite direction. But right now we're just going to plant our M going down in the opposite direction. And like I mentioned a little bit ago, this is where it gets a little bit harder. Because for this to work, it means that your hands must be relaxing right after plucking the notes. Because if you keep them tucked away, that M finger coming back out is going to be quite the distance that it has to travel. But if it's staying relaxed, your M finger is almost ready to go again. So it's going to have to make you pay attention to that. But if you're relaxed, then this shouldn't be too hard. So I'm planting my M finger here. See this? Once I'm feeling good about that, I'm going to go ahead and pluck it. So once again, digga-da-da-da, 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 5 notes at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to get it sounding really consistent. Then plant your I finger. Then pluck your I. Then plant your P finger. Play your thumb. What's up, George? How are you doing? You've seen this exercise before. So through if they're working on this, you should just feel better about changing directions in these arpeggios. And then, of course, next step is trying to get 2 complete loops of this. But let me know in the comments. Actually, I'm seeing them having a connection issue. Hopefully we're good. But let me know, are you guys getting what I'm saying so far here? I know it's kind of a knowing little process. It's not a really beautiful sounding exercise, but it helps. It really helps a lot. Especially just feeling it as a reflex and not trying to think like, oh, when am I ever going to play like fast in the right hand? It's a little bit easier when you feel it like this reflex. Not thinking about every single note. Because this skill of running through the strings and just like doing this almost like harp-like ascending and descending thing, it's quite used. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak your language. Let me know if you guys are getting this and you're following along. If not, I totally understand. But Veronica, yeah, you said, yeah, I started doing these every day when you first showed it to us. Oh, awesome. That's great. I haven't been doing these every day. I wish I still have been. But yeah, every now and then it's great to keep myself in check to do these, and it always helps. There's always more work to do, you know? It's like you just end up doing these faster and faster. So, going onwards here, I don't feel like I need to explain every single addition here, because we're literally just adding 1 finger at a time. But start going back up to the, so now, like planting to the G string here, after going through 1 cycle of this. Now I'm planting my I finger on the 3rd string. Now I'm plucking my I finger. Now I'm planting my N finger on the 2nd string. Then I'm going to pluck my M finger. So it's da 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 da. Yeah, I can't sing the rhythm that fast, but right, but all 1 motion. Hello Mia, what's up? And then we're gonna plant our A finger again. You get the idea. Eventually, once you've done this a bunch of times and you start being able to roll through, once you work your way through being able to do this twice in the loop and trying to still feel it as 1, you end up, even if it's still a little sloppy, mine's pretty sloppy right now, but even with the slop, it's, you're just feeling it as 1 motion, and it doesn't feel like this stressful task. It's a very difficult mental thing to get through, to keep like something moving so fast that you can't really, that maybe you haven't ever really played that fast before for so long. It's very hard to keep it moving. So that's why it's important to get past the mental thought of like, oh geez, this is fast, I'm not going to be able to sustain this. And you can do that by feeling it as a reflex or feeling it as 1. You can almost toy with yourself and just think about, like, test the other way. Try to think of it individually and you just start messing up. That's how it is with me, at least. So yeah, if you guys are looking for a good etude to practice this with, it'd be Giuliani etude number 5, because it's literally that, the entire etude, but it's a beautiful etude. Very simple. You can learn in an hour. Anyways, it makes you feel a lot more confident with things like this. Okay, so that's enough right hand stuff right now. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's do some left hand stuff, yeah? The camera on my iPhone is just not polishing off anymore. It's getting old. Looking forward to that 8. Okay, now we're gonna do some left hand exercises. let's start with some of these typical ones that I like. You know what? No, let's do something a little bit different. It's kind of a mixture of what I normally start this technique class with, which is some slower exercises. But let's do a little bit more complicated one. We'll start slow and we'll all be able to play along. Okay, we're going to start by doing this. Second fret on the 6th string, we're going to go hammer on to the 3rd fret, and then we're going to pluck the 1st string and hammer on to the 4th. So it's going to look like this. Just don't worry about playing along right now, just get the exercise. It goes. Next. So we're going 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, but we're only plucking once per hammer on. So pluck, pluck, pluck. Right-handed doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to start this. So once we get that back down to the bottom, we're going to slide up a fret. 1, 2, ready, and 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4. Really try to make everything an equal volume. Next string, sorry, next fret. Try to keep your fingers low to the fingerboard. This helps with sound consistency and rhythmic consistency. If you have one finger that's hanging out way up here, it might get an extra accent. Next fret, let's speed up a little bit. If you can't do it, it's okay. Go whatever speed you can do. Anyways, great exercise here. Now, let's do the reverse of that. We're going to start here on the same fret, starting on the 1st fret, and we're going to go 3, 2, 4, 1. Okay? Austin knows what I'm talking about here. We talked a little bit about these exercises. 3, 2, 4, 1. 3, 2, 4, 1. See? So here, just a little basics on slurs, descending slurs here, which is what we're doing. You're not just lifting your finger off. On electric guitar, that's often what we do. We just lift our finger off because the pickups and the amps are so loud and hot that it's enough volume being pulled out of just lifting your finger off. But even on there, in order to get a loud and clear sound, you have to pull off almost like you're doing a rest stroke into the string below, right? So you're resting your finger on the string below in order to get a loud sound to equal the volume of your first initial pluck. So that's what we're going to do. Let's start slow. 1, 2, ready, and 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1. Next string. While we're going slow like this, take a second to make sure that no fingers are squeezing that don't need to be. For instance, when we're doing 3, 2, don't have your first finger setting down like this the entire time. It doesn't need to be. Only when we're about to pull off to a 4 to 1. Now let's shift up a fret. I'm going to speed up just a little bit here. when you're doing the 4-to-1, a common thing that people are going to do is this. Watch how my left hand is moving here. See this? Not something you want to do. One more fret up. You want the pull-off to come from your fingers, not your arm. Because it throws off the balance of the rest of your hand and makes you very inaccurate. You see this? Not healthy. It'll never be fast like this. Nor consistent volume or tone. Back down. 3, 2, 4, 1. 3, 2, 4, 1. Speeding up a little bit. If you can't go this speed, that's okay. Just go whatever speed you can. If your hand hurts, by the way, stop playing immediately. If it's sore, that's okay. My hand's a little sore, but I feel no pain. So listen to your body in that situation. Okay, so as you can see, as you speed up there, it becomes quite a difficult exercise. Especially making sure that you're not applying any unnecessary pressure with other fingers. I stopped a long time ago. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, well, just, you know, if it hurts, you should stop. If it doesn't, and it's just like difficult, that's when you should keep on going. It's a really tough individualized topic there, because it's hard to know what the other person is feeling. You know, if you're in the gym and you're lifting weights and it starts getting difficult, you would keep on going, right? But if you start feeling like a sharp pain in your shoulder, you would stop, or something that even started to feel like a really bad pain. Anyways, it's a difficult subject. Okay, so you probably feel a little bit more warmed up with slurs now. Let's move on to something else. Let's do some left hand, well, maybe stretching exercise isn't the best thing to do right now. Well, actually, we'll be all right. We could do a little bit of stretching. We'll start with some easy ones. And we'll talk about what we did last class and maybe the class before. I got a lot of messages afterwards saying that it helped a bunch. So hopefully I can help you guys that are here today. Kind of a small number, interestingly enough. Whoa, I turned the camera in by accident. Okay, so let's line our hands up in 5th position here. And what I mean is lining up your first finger with the 5th fret. So we're here, right? 5th fret. What we're going to do is we're going to move our fingers in opposing motions here, right? Like this. But we're not going to necessarily go to those far away strings right now. We're lining our fingers up on the 3rd string, so the G string here. And we're going to set our 2nd finger here on the 6th fret, and then our 1st finger on the 4th string, okay? So 2nd finger, 2nd string, 1st finger, 4th string. You're just basically skipping the G string. We're doing this. So start getting that. And what I want you to focus on is making sure that your fingers are landing all at the same time. Hi Javier, good to see you here. So both your 1st and your 2nd finger should be landing at the same time. And they should actually be crossing paths midway in the air at the same time. So like here, they're crossing over that 3rd string at the same time. Now, let's start moving our 2nd finger, our middle finger here, down to the 5th string, so this. By the way, a key part of this, your 3rd and 4th finger here, these two, should not be pressing down. They should just be sitting on the string. This is all part of practicing not applying extra pressure when you don't need it. So this third string, if I were to pluck it, you're trying to maintain the whole time no pressure being put on those because they're not being used. Okay, so now we're going to do this really slow. Stay on these now. Let's pause right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to count to something like 8. You don't have to necessarily do it exactly with me, but count to 8 and try to split into 8 beats the movement of switching to that opposing shape, right? So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go lift 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where it crosses the G string. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I play. If you've never done this before, it's actually really difficult to get your fingers moving like perfectly at the same rate. I'm lifting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, what's up? Good to see you, man. Okay, so now we're lifting up again, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and pluck. So what you probably notice is that oftentimes one of your fingers will beat the other to the fret you're supposed to be going to. So that it's up to you to auto-correct that kind of thing. This happens all the time in music. Like maybe we're playing a line down here, and then we have to jump somewhere up high, or we have to do a big shift, and one finger is going to beat the other there. And it's because we probably didn't practice it slow enough to see like how our fingers should actually be moving. And I gave the same example last class because it's just such a popular and like important one. But in this, well, I'm not in D here, but just I'll go there to show you. This 998 Allegro by Bach. This part. Okay, it's notoriously hard. A bunch of people try to go like this and then jump right to it, right before right before you play. But instead, if you were to practice this really slow, you would start moving it probably by here. So by the time you get here, your fingers are so ready to go and they've been moving at a slow rate to get there the entire time. And it actually makes that part really easy. And all it takes is a few minutes of practice to get that right. And even that's too fast to practice. I have to recognize that I know this piece, so it's very easy for me to do it because I've practiced this part a lot. But so by the time I'm on this note, the note right before this difficult part, I'm already way set up. I'm ready to go. You can see my fingers stretching out slowly. This is, and I'm not claiming to have this property, but this is where you get the idea, like when you're watching someone play. Actually, if you go to my story, you watch the guy that I put the little clip of playing. It's where you get the idea that it's just like insane that they're playing so fast because their hands don't look like they're doing any difficult motions. They're just moving so fast, and you're like, man, when I play, it always seems like it's always hard, you know, it's always like really difficult. But it's most likely because like the slow practice is totally neglected. It's just like we get to a hard part and all of a sudden we're trying to like jump like this. If you practice this way slow and you don't jump, then all of a sudden things just start looking like this, right? As you're traveling and doing big jumps, even if you have to do a big jump, your hands just travel gracefully. So that's the thing that we're practicing when we're doing the stretching exercise that I was just showing you here. So if you have the strength, we're going back to the 5th fret here. If you have the strength to do it, the ability to stretch to the 6th, the 1st string, this is even a bigger example of, well, it's the same one as this stretch when I was just doing that Bach example. But this is even more difficult area to practice this. Your fingers cross at the same time and then move at the exact same rate. Because they are doing the same thing. We're going the 6th to the 1st and the 1st to the 6th. So they should cross halfway between that 3rd and 4th string at the same time. If one's going faster, then you can correct it. Just go a little bit slower. And don't forget, you shouldn't be having pressure on your 3rd and 4th fingers here. Huh, on YouTube the volume is low, Javi said. Oh no. Are you guys doing okay on YouTube over there? Is it a bad volume? I'm gonna see if I can adjust that at all. It doesn't show that it's particularly low. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'd like to know if someone on YouTube, one of you guys could let me know if the volume's okay. Okay, so do this with your other fingers. We're going with the easiest example. If this is hard for you, then try your 3rd and 4th finger. I'm going to go to the 5th and 2nd string here. Okay, so this is the 7th and 8th fret. I'm going to do this really slow. And it's really good to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 5 beats with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This makes your movements so much smoother and more confident. This type of thing helps with accuracy because if you're jumping at the last minute, it's very hard to be accurate. So if you do this for a solid minute and then you start just going faster, you'll notice your hands moving so much more, your fingers moving so much more choreographed like, right? I just did that for maybe 30 seconds, very focused and slow, and my fingers just feel very, very choreographed and equally moving. So if you're strong enough, you've got enough stretch, try to go to the 6th, the 1st string here. And let's do this slow. So, okay, we're doing this. Our 3rd finger is here on the 7th fret, the B on the 6th string, and our 4th finger is on the 8th fret, C of the 1st string. So this, and then we're going to count to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pluck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pluck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm having difficulty there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pluck, lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, am I suggesting that you practice this exact exercise every day and you do it like this? No. But in your pieces, all over the place, it doesn't even have to be a big stretch moment. It can just be what's difficult. Like, I'll try to give you guys an example. All right, here's an example of a difficult part in a piece that I'm working on right now. Hopefully, you'll find this applicable on your music. Just think of a part where your left hand is having a hard time. By the way, a couple of my friends are starting this project called Tonebase, and if you look them up on Facebook, they've been posting these really, really helpful interviews with extremely accomplished guitarists. And one of them was from this Russian guitarist Vladimir Gorbach, who won GFA, I think in 2011. And he was talking about how important it is to make sure your left hand feels comfortable at all aspects of the piece. Like, not one part feels really difficult. And if it does, you need to smooth it out. And so this is an example of one of the ways to do that. But I'm going to give you an example of a part in one of my pieces where working on this can really help. I need to take my own advice, honestly, but watch this. That part is really hard, that last, because when it's fast like this, be inaccurate. So, what do I do? Like this. That was too fast. Way too fast for me to make a change. Just watching. Just watching your movements. It's a really boring thing, huh? Just making sure your movements are slow and your fingers are landing at the same time. Did I say movements are slow? I meant movements are smooth. And then all of a sudden, now that you've been paying attention to it when you're going slow, you can actually pay attention to it going fast. It's not something you know is a problem until you do it slow and realize that you can't do it well. Ooh, I'm sorry for being out of tune here, guys. Really my bad, I'm way out. What song is that? Oh, this piece is K209 by Scarlatti. Okay, so when I'm lifting out of here and going to the difficult spot, I'm making sure, here we go, these are the two that are going to land first. They're going to shift to here. They're going to set down at the same time. So, once again, here we go. Da, 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 da. Okay? So, when you break things down slowly, you can see what's going on and what your problem is. This is K209 by Domenico Scarlatti. It's a sonata for harpsichord. K209, K, the letter K, and then 209. Anyways, that's not important. It's just making up this point about shifting to your positions that you're going to slowly in a piece. See an example of Granada. Let's see, where's a good example of this? Oh, maybe here. So if you go like this, this next part. Okay, so we know we're moving these two fingers. Right? Oh, Wonderland. Let's see what you say. Evan, do you think that it's possible not to be able to do the difficult sections the next day after we practice so much and do well the day before? Oh, good question. That's a really good question. So let me reread this again, make sure I understand. Do you think that it's possible to not be able to do the difficult sections the next day after we practice so much and do well the day before? Do you think that it's possible to not be able to do the difficult sections the next day after we practice so much and do well the day before? It's definitely possible. I think I understand what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong. I think what you're saying is like, you're asking why, or does it happen to me that sometimes after we practice nothing gets better? Like it seems like the next day you're starting all over again, getting worse after practice. Mia says, I'm not sure if that's exactly what she means, but if it is, let me know, Wonderland. But I think what you mean is like you're doing fine, and then you practice something, and then you're just like it doesn't get any better. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's this unreliability of your practice, maybe. Is that what you mean? Or maybe, now that you say that, Mia, I think that is maybe what she means. Let's see. Let me know, Wonderland. You know what? What I will say about the getting worse after practice thing is that does happen, and it's not always a bad thing. And that's like, what? We should always be going in a straight line upwards, right? Like exponentially improving. Okay, you are talking about that. Yes, that is important. And actually, if you have a like a light bulb moment about, let's see. So, if you have a big realization of something you're doing wrong in a piece, Thinking about what you're doing in a different way, making it seem more difficult. I'm getting confused. I'm just going to explain what I'm talking about and tell me if I've got it wrong or if someone thinks I'm misinterpreting the question. But sometimes when I come to a big realization, a piece like, or technically, like maybe there's a fingering change, or maybe there isn't, and I'm realizing what I'm doing wrong by doing slow practice, something like this. Well, now you're more aware of it and you're trying to make a change. So that kind of thing can make it sound worse in performance the very next day. But that's the kind of thing it takes to rebuild. It's kind of like it's just like this really. If you built like a wall out of bricks and you did a bad job, which is like what's constantly we're doing when we're learning pieces, because we can't possibly learn it perfectly from the beginning. You do kind of a bad job. Sometimes you have to knock down part of it and totally rebuild in order to make it right, you know, and to make it better than it was before. And that part, while it's knocked down, it's not going to be as strong. So you have to like build it back up to that level. But yeah, it is discouraging, right? When we practice, you know, a lot, and then we realize it got worse. But it's normally a good thing when that happens. You just can't let it discourage you. As long as it's not like, you know, you're practicing the same thing over and over again and you made no realizations and you're just like, wow, why is it getting worse? And if that's the case, and you're not making any realizations, then it's most likely the issue of you trying, I'm going to guess that it's the issue of you just trying to push the speed too much, and then all of a sudden it's more sloppy because you thought playing it over and over again was going to help. That's something that that's something that, you know, a lot of us have issues with, because we're trying to drive speed and we're trying to get faster and faster, and then it just doesn't work. Okay, you said, I mean, you've been practicing the difficult parts for several days. Is it possible not to be able to play that perfectly again the next day? Oh, that's still worded strange. I don't really understand the question. I mean, you've been practicing the difficult parts for several days. Is it possible not to be able to play that perfectly again the next day? I don't really understand. After practicing so much and be able to play perfectly. Yes, it's possible not to be able to play. Regardless what you're asking, it's yes, it's possible to be able to. It's possible not to be able to play that perfectly again the next day. Yeah. So if you practiced and you got something perfect and you thought you solved all the problems, and then the next day it's horrible again, yeah, that happens all the time. It happens to everyone. It's the same thing about building up that wall. Every single day you wake up, it depends on how you practice that difficult section. Yeah, Austin's right too. There's a lot of variables here, but certainly I sympathize with the idea of feeling like you spent 5 hours in a day working on something hard, and at the end of the day, it's great. Like really, you could perform it, you could play it for friends, you could play it for family, you could go play it at a competition or like a concert hall, and it could be great, right? And then the next day you wake up, and since you just fixed it, it's not going to be as good, because you have to make that same realization and reinforce that foundation that you're building, that passage or phrase on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been asking that question. Yeah. You just have to, the wall keeps on getting broken down, and you got to rebuild it. And you got to break it, it breaks down again, you got to rebuild it. Breaks down again, you got to rebuild it every single day. And then, yes, it happens all the time, Gwendolyn. Happens to everyone. And it's very discouraging sometimes, I have to admit. But it's, I think after a while, it's, sorry, I guess this is kind of steering away from the technique class thing, but it's kind of technique of practicing, so that makes sense. But if you know that it's happening all the time, then it's not as discouraging, because you start getting used to the process. You're like, okay, yep, it sucks again today. I'm going to build it up again, and I'm going to get it good. And each day, it can't get broken down to the same level it was at, you know, the first day. So it gets better. You know, it goes like this, like 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. So it might go like this, like day 1. This is day 1 beginning. This is the end of day 1. Day 2 beginning. This is the end of day 2. Day 3 beginning. This is the end of day 3. Day 4 beginning. There's the end of day 4. You know, it's kind of how it goes. Man, I'm a beginner in the classical guitar. I'm studying alone. I didn't find anyone who could teach me, and I'm kind of what tips do you have for me? My tip would be don't study alone, because there's a lot of advantages of studying with a teacher, because you can improve faster. It might be just finding the right one. Send me a message though. But what tips do you have, like if I'm not changing your question there? Just enjoy it, and read books. I hope you don't mean studying alone as like you don't want to read either. But I would say like read the Carlovaro method, read the, just Google classical guitar pedagogy books and you'll find it. But it's like Carlovaro, Carcassi method, Ricardo Isnaiola. Start with Ricardo Isnaiola, the Kitharologus book. Send me a message. I'll help you out, man. But reading would really help. That would be probably my best tip. And if you're not doing this, read sheet music. Don't read tabs anymore. Just totally abandon it. Start with something really easy for classical guitar and just learn how to read the sheet music. It doesn't take long to start. I've seen people be able to read sheet music better than people that have read sheet music for years be able to read sheet music in like 2 weeks really well. So, yeah. Well, okay, I think I'm going to end this Instagram technique class here. I feel like it's kind of on a good note. I'm sorry, Miguel and Felipe, I'm not sure. I see what you're saying. But I do technique classes on Thursdays as well. It's specifically catered to exactly what people ask me to talk about in that class. To sign up for that, you can follow the link in my bio, or I have it here in the description. I have it as my pinned comment here. Let me just type it here. Maybe I should do that. You can't click it, but if you just go to my bio, it'll take you there. It's only $1 to sign up, and I'm probably going to be changing that soon. So I would love for you guys to join. There it is. I just commented it. I'll pin that one now. If you go there, you can sign up for my class. You can sign up for lessons, and you can sign up for mini lessons, which I teach a few of them after each one of these classes. So no problem with the Portuguese. Thanks, Felipe. It's nice to see other conversations going on there. All right, I'll be seeing a few of you shortly for mini lessons and full lessons, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Okay, I just ended my Instagram video here, and I'm going to end this live stream now on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you can see well. Leave me a comment or send me a message if you guys found this YouTube volume to be low, because I got a couple comments here. Well, no, I only got one comment, but someone let me know that it was quiet in here. So I'm not really sure about that. Have to see what you guys say. Okay, have a great night. Thanks, guys.